Now you can hear me. Well, thank you to Catherine that told me, Shastri, you're muted because I was talking and you were not hearing me. Okay, start again. Good morning, everybody. Namaste. So today I was gonna talk to you about something that you might be surprised to hear. I was gonna tell you that freedom, this big word we use in many different ways, the biggest freedom that you can ever have is the freedom from yourself, which must be surprising. It's like, what are you talking about? Freedom from yourself, it's the biggest freedom. What do I mean when I say self, yourself? I'm talking about the self not with the capital S. That's what I call the real self. The small self is our identity, our personality, our ego, or our mind, however we want to call it, the egoic mind. And when I say mind, I don't refer to the mind with a capital M that Buddhists often use that. I'm not referring to that mind. I'm referring to the egoic mind, which is basically the mind I'm talking about is the thinking mind, is particularly the compulsive thinking. Yeah, that voice in your head that never stops, that tells you stories on and on and on. And the mind, we could say, is the vehicle of the ego. It's what the ego uses to stay in place and reinforce itself and express itself and makes you believe that you are that, but you're not. So freedom from that is the biggest freedom. Freedom for your mind is the biggest freedom. But what is this ego that we talk about? Let's make sure we understand what is this entity, fictitious entity, is not real. It's an entity that has been created by society, the society we live in. So let's make a distinction. There is a real self, what I call a real self, or a true self. It also has many names. The Buddhists, they call it Buddha nature, and Zen, they call it the original face. I found a new terminology, which is your impersonal nature. I like that too. Impersonal, not personal. The true self. And then there is this self that is based in the egoic mind, which is created by society. The true self is created by nature itself. It's not created. You arrive, you came into the world with that. You are that. And when your body, you let go of your body, it will still be there. It's always there. It's part of our divine source, where we come from. That's the true self. That's our original face. What happens when we're born, this self is there, and that is why babies look as amazing as they do. Yeah, very pure. And so do animals too. No, very innocent, very pure, because they don't have an ego. So when we're born, also we don't have an ego, and we're very pure. We're very connected to Source. We're very connected to the divine expression we are and we come from. But then slowly, slowly, the ego is built around this. So how is it built? It's built by messages that arrive from the outside, from the world, from society, from the parents, from teachers. And because the babies is so dependent, human babies are very, very dependent when they're born. In order to survive, we adapt to whatever is going on around us. So we need love, and we need especially food to survive. And we will never survive if it was not for our parents and the people that are feeding us and loving us. So naturally, we do whatever is needed at that time to survive, to receive love, to receive food. There are two kinds of food. The love is also food for the soul. Yeah. And food that you eat is food for your body, but love is food for the soul. So they're both very important. So what do? We do what they tell us to do. So if you're very little and you're full of energy and you're giggling and running around the house, a lot of the time, you know, a parent would tell you, oh, just be quiet now. Come on, be a good boy. Okay, so you receive be a good boy means I shouldn't run around and be so alive. So I'll turn it down. Yeah. So we start to dim our vital force, our energy. Yeah, we start to say, okay, in order to be a good boy, I have to take this down. I cannot be this alive because they're not going to love me. It's not good. And so I make a compromise. Yeah, I'm going to be less alive so that I'll be loved and I'll be fed too, and I'll survive. And that's just the beginning. Yeah. And then layer upon layer, we grow and we can collect all these informations and we try to adapt to them. And whatever they tell us, we absorb it and we make it our own. And in the end, what happens is that there is a structure we call the personality or the egoic self, which has been created by this conglomeration of informations. Is not real, actually. So let me give you a visual example of this, so it makes it even more clear for you. Yeah? Okay. Okay, this is a little sketch I did at a retreat we had last year. Can you see it? Make yes with your head if you can see it. Okay, thank you. Okay, you see here, this is the original self, here at the bottom in purple. This is what we are born with. This is our consciousness. You can also call it your soul, your essence. Yeah, this is who you are. This is what you come in with. And then slowly, through information, education, training, all these informations that I was telling you about, we start building these layers of what is eventually the ego, the egoic self. Let's say this pyramid is the egoic self that is built upon the original self, layer upon layer, information upon information. I get trained, I get educated, and eventually there is this big ego right sitting on top of my poor original self and being squashed down, put in the basement. Yeah. This ego, thanks to Freud and Jung and other guys, we now divided in conscious and subconscious. Yeah, which is pretty correct. So there is a conscious part, which is the tip of the iceberg, we could say, the tip of the pyramid. Yeah. Usually it's the smallest part. And then there is a subconscious, which is the largest part. The conscious is what we can see, what we can witness, yeah, in our waking time. So when we sit and we close our eyes and we watch our mind and our thoughts, we are watching this part, what's happening in the conscious mind. Yeah. In the conscious egoic mind is this small part. What happens with meditation is this line, this threshold between the conscious and the subconscious slowly starts to go down. So more and more becomes conscious and less is left in the subconscious. So as we deepen our meditation, our practice, we start having access to things that are in the subconscious. We never saw them before. Yeah, it could be all kinds of things, including traumas, including all kinds of emotions that have been stuffed down there in the basement, in the subconscious, because we were not ready to deal with them when whatever happened. So we bring, through meditation, we bring our light to the darkness of the subconscious as well, starting from the conscious. We cannot start from the subconscious. There's nothing we can do directly with the subconscious. We can work only with the conscious part of our mind. Yeah. And so at the bottom, there is the self that through meditation, we get slowly getting closer back to that original self, because we're going actually down through this pyramid, right? But you can have access. The good news is you don't have to go through all this to access your original self, because it's going to take a long time. You can access your original self through these qualities down here, anytime. So in our practice, witnessing, yeah? So to be a witness, what does it mean? To observe what is happening in a detached way, in a non-judgmental way, in an impartial way. Witnessing, becoming aware of everything that is arising within our consciousness, which is thoughts, emotions, feelings, sensorial perceptions. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. Becoming really aware of all that. That's witnessing. And then these three qualities that are stillness, space, and silence, the S Trinity, I call it. These are facets of the original selves. So anytime we dwell and we access stillness inside of us, or a sense of spaciousness or silence, we are accessing also the original self. That's the good news. So these are shortcuts. Witnessing and the S Trinity are shortcut to access the original self, our true nature. Okay. Let me remove this so you can see. So when we practice, what we do? Well, we start, as we were saying, we start observing what is visible to us, which is the conscious part of our mind. Okay. What does this witnessing do? What happens through this witnessing process, through this becoming aware, even becoming aware of this voice inside my head, for example, because most people are not even aware. They spend their whole life thinking, and they're not even aware that they're thinking sometime. So first step, becoming aware. What does that do is, as we talked in previous sessions, it creates slowly a disidentification from the egoic mind. Slowly, you start not to believe it anymore because you see the game. Yeah, you see how the mind is very smart and very cunning, and it wants to survive, and it will do anything to survive. So I was exchanging a few lines with Tamar, which is here today with us, the other day. And I was telling her, the mind will always try to find where to hook you. Yeah, where is the easiest place for you to be identified with? You can just see the mind as a separate entity, which we'll see later is not even real. But this entity wants to survive like everything else, and wants to be nourished and fed, and wants to keep growing. You know, your ego wants to grow like everything else. So the mind will find what is sometimes most disturbing for you. Yeah. So something that every time you think about it, you start feeling butterfly in your heart, or something scary, you know, it will hook you into that fear. Or it could be, you know, you had a terrible fight with a dear friend, you know, a week before, and you know, and you didn't resolve it, and you keep going back there, you know, thinking about it, and maybe whatever it is, the mind will find that. And if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're not thinking anything, then watch when your thinking mind comes in, and you will notice a lot of the time it goes straight into what's most disturbing for you, what is not resolved, what is unresolved, for example. Because there you're hooked, and then you keep thinking, and your attention is hooked into that thought and feeds it. Because attention is food. Our attention, our awareness, our attention, whatever we put it, we nourish that thing. Okay, this is a very important thing to remember. That means if I give attention to stillness, to silence, to the space between two thoughts, if I give attention to that, that expands, becomes more and more present. Good news. If I give my attention to a thought, that will keep going and will keep growing. So I'll keep thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. Yeah. So wherever I put my attention, the attention is the fuel for this engine that is the egoic mind. And anything else gets nourished through our attention. Yeah. So if I give attention to a feeling of love I have in my heart, that will grow. That will become more present. If I give attention to a thought of fear that I have because of whatever, the virus is around, let's say, to be in this social historical context, well, I will feed that so the virus will get bigger and bigger. That's what the news do. The TV, when you watch news, they bombard you with information about virus. There's nothing else. So that goes into your mind, into your egoic mind, and feeds fear. And then suddenly a virus that was this big is becoming the biggest thing in the world. Yeah. Not that it's not there, but it's being used to feed into your fear. Because, why? Because people that are in fear are very easy to be controlled. And no free man will ever be controlled, or free woman. Very simple. It's just ABC of socio-political control. But let's not go there. We're not interested. We're interested in our inner world. But it's important to be also aware of the outer world, especially when it's trying to enter into us. So we watch news. What do? We absorb news and put them in our mind. They become part of our memory, because the mind is nothing but a big hard drive. It's a memory system. The ego is nothing but those layers we were looking in the pyramid: information. Yeah. So the ego is built, the very bricks that build this building that is the ego, the egoic mind, are informations, are store memories. That's why I was saying, well, the ego doesn't really exist, because it's a conglomeration of memories that we put in our mind. So if, for example, in meditation, I bring my attention to the space between two thoughts, yeah, that means there is no mind. What is there? Okay, there might be physical sensation, there might be feelings, but above all, there is a sense of presence. Yes, your own presence. And there is no mind. If you look for your ego in that space, try. Tell me if you find it, because you won't find it. It actually is not real. When the mind is not activated, there is no ego. So that's why that is meditation. What is meditation? It's unoccupied state of mind, where the mind is not actually functioning, occupied with anything. There is a perception of everything. There is an awareness, and there is a presence there. But there's no like yakety yak, talking inside your head. No. In that space, that's what we explore when we go deeper into meditation. There is not a person as such, person in terms of personality, in terms of ego. There is no person in that space. There is a presence. Huge difference. So going deeper into meditation means you become more and more a presence and less a person. Less and less an ego. Yeah, but more an essential consciousness, presence, that is your true self. We go back to that. That's why I was saying silence, stillness, and inner space are three aspects that support that perception of the original self. That pretty much covers it as far as ego and mind are concerned. Now you have a clear idea when I say mind or egoic mind, what I'm referring to, yes? Which mind is not your brain. Let's make that clear too. The brain is an amazing, literally mind-blowing biocomputer that is a manifestation of a divine force. It can only be because it's so way above and beyond any human comprehension, the perfection of how the brain works and the whole body. It's obviously being created by a power, by a force that is a million times bigger than our little mind, human egoic mind. I mean, and if you're a scientist or a biologist, or you go into that, the more you go into it, the more you realize, oh my God, exactly. Only God can create something of that perfection. So the brain is a beautiful, perfect biocomputer that has 1.5 million function every fraction of a second happening. An incredible thing, this body. Amazing beauty, amazing perfection, amazing harmony happening in this body that we're not even aware of. Much like the same harmony that is keeping all the planets and the stars spinning in perfect balance, every second. Same balance, same thing, same force has created all this. And surely this force is not a little personal me, right? I mean, man is also creative. Man is also creating beautiful things as well as ugly things. Yeah, we can be very creative. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful expression. That's a beautiful way to use our creative energy, our life force. But let's not get confused. We are not the owner of this planet or the owner of the universe. We're just guests here. We're just a little animal that right now on this planet is on top of the evolutional pyramid, but we're still like, as an egoic self, we're like not even a grain of sand in the desert. As an impersonal self, as our true nature, as a real self, we are much more, because we are connected to source again. We're connected to the divineness. And that's what is calling us. That's why we are all sitting here. What is meditation but finding a way to reconnect to our original self, which is expression itself, expression of the divine. Yeah. So that's the work we're doing here. And the work, it's very simple and down to earth. There's nothing like esoteric. It's getting to know yourself, having the courage to dive in and see and bring the light of your attention, of your awareness to all the darkest part that are inside of you, all the sunlight peaks as well as the shady valleys and dark valleys. All needs to be witnessed and accepted for what it is. That's why the attitude we need to bring is, as Buddha used to call it, choiceless awareness. Choiceless awareness means I do not choose what is right and wrong. Again, this is mind stuff, beautiful and ugly, pleasant, unpleasant. This is all mind. Do not label anything. We just embrace everything. We become aware of everything. It's the only way we can bring light into that part of the subconscious too. Yeah, the bottom of the pyramid, as we were seeing before. But we start from the conscious, bring as much of our light, the light of our awareness, to the conscious part, which includes thoughts. So watch the thoughts as they arise. And sometime you will see, the more you practice, the more you go, like, you see a thought as it starts arising, and you go, I know this story. No, thank you. I don't need you right now. I'm just enjoying being here, being present. So you let it go. It doesn't even develop, that thought. But right now they develop. You don't even realize that they start growing in you, from a little nothing, and then suddenly, woo, you're in a story that goes around and around and around, and there's long thoughts. It's okay. Then you notice, when you notice that in any moment, after 1 second, after 1 minute, after 1 hour that you're thinking, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you notice it. And in the moment you notice it, you separate from that thought. You don't give it energy anymore. And you come back to the present. So this is the practice. This is the only pause button we have with this compulsive thinking. Yeah, becoming aware, bringing the light of awareness to your mind. And then to everything else too. Emotions, we talked about emotions. They need to be felt and recognized. Yeah. And then let go. But first you have to recognize it, So be careful that there might be something that arises from the subconscious. That's a very good sign. It means you're working, you're going deeper. Very good sign. Don't be afraid. It might be something uncomfortable. That's why it's in the subconscious. Because when it happened, you're like, oh, I'm not ready to deal with this. I'll put it down here. I don't want to feel it. But now it's coming up because you're ready to feel it. Beautiful. Let it come up. Feel it. Because unless you feel it, it will never go away. So if something uncomfortable and while in your practice, you go like, oh, no, I don't want to feel it now. You just squash it down again. It's going to come up again sooner or later. You're just putting it in the basement. So take the chance to witness and accept anything that arises. Yeah, pleasant and unpleasant. It doesn't matter. That's our work. Awareness doesn't have judgment about what is right and wrong and what's pleasant and unpleasant. Awareness is just light. Yeah. If you bring a candle or a torch in a dark room, that light will go all around, right? It's not going to say, okay, I'm going to lit only this chair, but not that table. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. Light goes everywhere. So we bring our light to everything, the light of our awareness. We do not choose. We'll embrace everything with our light, with our presence. And it's like, okay, this might be unpleasant, but it's great that it's coming up. I allow myself to feel it. And other times you'll be in a space where there is nothing arising. There is no thoughts. There's no emotions. There is just presence. Beautiful. Then enjoy that space. Nourish that space. Put your attention there, because through attention, you're going to let it grow. Feel it more. What is the silence that I feel inside? What is this space? There's nothing there. Whoa. There maybe there's a feeling arising. Whoa, this is scary. Emptiness is scary. Oh, okay. Then watch. What is there to be afraid of? Is this still scary? Let me look. And then you go like, oh no, actually there's nothing to be scared in emptiness. It's just the concept. Somewhere I've learned that emptiness is not good. It's scary. But that's mind again. Experience it. really experience emptiness. Is it scary? No, you will see. It's actually it's a relief when you allow yourself to move into that emptiness, in that space. And if emptiness is a scary word for your mind and it creates a resistance, then that space, I tell you, is not empty, is filled with your own presence. So you can look at it that way, if it makes it less scary. Yeah. So sometimes there will be just space, beautiful, because that means you're very close to your true nature. Rest in that. See what it feels like. And anything that wants to be revealed will be revealed in that space. Not in your mind. The mind will just create a virtual reality. There's nothing real there. But in that emptiness, in that space, things will unfold. Both things that will arise from the subconscious and things that come from a even bigger space than the subconscious, which is your true self. So anything that life wants to be revealed to you in that moment will be revealed through that silence. You can't think your way to truth. This is never going to happen. You can be a philosopher. You can even be a psychologist, which is better. But you cannot think your way to truth because mind is not made for that. Mind is man-made. It's created, as we saw in the egoic pyramid we looked at. That's society created that. Those are informations that came from other men to you, from your parents to you, and from your grandfather to your parents, and from your grandfather to your grandparents. It's passed on. It's mind that is passed on from generation, from society to society. It's man-made. There's nothing real. It's just man-made. It's not connected to the divine. So it's useful to function in the world. Fantastic. It's useful for many things. It's useful for science, for many things where applied mind in a creative way can be creative. Undoubtedly. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not so. I'm saying that mind is not made to dive inside your true self. It's not made for that. It's made to exist in the world of form, but it cannot access the formless, which is your consciousness, which is your true self. So mind has to be let go of in our practice. And the practice is when we sit, but also when we are mindful of whatever we do in our daily activities, as we talked before. And we talk more about that another time. I think it's a lot of information. Let's stop here. If anybody has a question about what I just said, let's take a couple of minutes to answer that question. Just to clear the space from all these concepts that I put in your consciousness. Is that quite clear what I said? Could you follow? Is that a clear picture? Or is something still, what? I'm confused. Okay, so everything is clear. Good. Well, we're only left with trying to practice what we talked about. Shall we do that? We sit together and I guide you through a little bit to help you unwind from all this informations. Again, I gave a lot of information to your mind, so now I'm creating a spiritual ego in you. Be careful. Be very careful. There's still information unless it becomes experience. It's still only information. Helpful sometimes, helpful to understand how the mind functions, how the ego functions. It's helpful. But still, you have to step in to experience. Otherwise, it just accumulates. It becomes your spiritual ego, what I call. So let's dive in now, practice, and find a comfortable position with your back straight if you can. If you need to lean back to something, then it's okay. But try not to fall asleep. We want to stay present, yeah? Relaxed, but present. So feel your body from the inside and see if it's comfortable. And when you're ready, close your eyes. And bringing, as we close our eyes, we bring our attention inward. Starting by feeling the body from inside. Letting go of all concepts and ideas, all the words that Shastra just said. Okay, we just let it all go now. Slowly, slowly coming back to just presence. Maybe take a deep breath and let it go, everything. Even 2 deep breaths or 3, however, as many as you need. And just come into this moment, knowing that there's nowhere to go. We take a little time for ourselves. Just feeling myself, feeling the body, and relaxing any holding that is still there. Is my body really relaxed, or I can relax it a little more? By letting go, I allow every part of my body to be pulled by the gravitational force. Everything that relaxes falls towards the earth. Simple. So the feeling is of letting go into the earth, letting the body go, letting all parts of the body relax and sink a little more into your cushion or into the floor or into the chair. Just grounding yourself, relaxing. Very pleasant feeling. It makes you feel more here in this space. You embody this space in your body. Relaxing all muscles that are still holding. Including your diaphragm and your belly. See if you can let your belly sink towards the earth too. together with your hips and your lower back, all that area, just let it sink towards the earth. Relaxing the lower back and let it all sink down. And let your belly be pulled by the earth. Nice feeling. Just letting go. Enjoying the stillness as it starts sipping in like a gentle rain. A sense of stillness and quietness, calmness. Like as if there is a little more space inside your body. And this inner spaciousness is where everything is perceived. This spaciousness is also your consciousness that perceives everything. Perceives the physical sensation, perceives the pull of the earth, the gravity, the weight of the body. All these perceptions are happening in that inner space. In that inner space, that's also where you perceive the movement of the breathing. So you bring your attention there and you perceive it clearly as it moves by itself. Not by you doing it, but by life breathing through you. Feel that. How beautifully it moves in and out. Without you doing anything. Just observing. Let your attention rest in anything that is perceived in this inner space. That's the way to be present, to be here and now in this moment. If at a certain point you notice that a thought has carried you away, then you simply notice it. And by noticing it, will take energy away from it and it will stop. And you are back in the present moment. You bring your attention back to the here and now. As simple as that. Without any judgment or interpretation. And when you're back to the present moment, you bring your attention again to that spaciousness, to silence, to the stillness. That space in which the breathing seems to float in. When you enjoy embodying that spaciousness, arises a very pleasant feeling. It's like a relief, like letting go of a heavy weight. This space is very light. It's spacious. And allow yourself to feel anything that arises within this space, within your consciousness. Remaining alert and present to anything that is experienced inside of you. Keep observing without any judgment. Keep feeling, sensing. Feeling your body relaxed. Keep relaxing it. Feeling the breath. And feeling the space in which the breath is happening. Can you feel that space too? The more we feel that space, the more we embody it, we become it. Observing, noticing. Feeling. Bring your attention back to the physical body. Feel in the body. And slowly coming back. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Even when your eyes are open, you still maintain an attention to that inner space. Be very careful. The meditation is never finished. It's an ongoing process. So don't let your mind deceive you that, oh, now meditation is finished. It's ongoing. The awareness to that inner space is always there. Eyes open or eyes closed. We bring mindfulness to everything we do, as well as when we sit, it's the same awareness. So I see through my eyes the outer world, but I also perceive at the same time the inner world. I perceive the one who is looking through my eyes as well. Yeah. I feel my body. I feel my body while my eyes are open as well. I feel my breath. Am I breathing? Yes, I'm breathing. Oh, good. Never stopped. It's still happening by itself. How beautiful. Even with my eyes open, breathing is happening by itself. So I'm aware of the world through my senses, and the outer senses are perceiving the outer world, and the inner senses are also still there, perceiving the inner space. That's what it means to be mindful. It means to be aware of the present moment, inside and outside. If you remember the two anchors we talked about, and I mentioned to you, anchors are about feeling first. So becoming aware of the body, becoming aware of the weight. That's the entry point when you sit, to just ground yourself, no? To just come to this moment. Use the body. The body is always in the present. It's beautiful. Anytime you connect to the body, you become present. It's so simple. Then you can connect with the breath. Am I breathing from my belly or not? Is it my diaphragm contracted or not? What is it? How do I feel? And then you move deeper, and there is space. The space in which the breathing is happening, in which everything is perceived. So we go from form to formless, But we have to start from form. Those are the anchors. The easy, we start easy. The most obvious is the body. It's always present. Use it. There's a good reason why you are in it. Experience it. It's beautiful. It's divine. This body is divine. Okay, we have a little time, not much, for any question or any sharing if somebody wants to share something. Malkier, let me give you the mic, and I think you have to give it to yourself too. Unmute yourself. There. Because I cannot hear you, strange enough. Talking about crying, is it an emotion? How to recognize from your subconscious? Well, emotions are in the subconscious too. Of course, the subconscious contains all kind of stuff. Some emotions are in the conscious, some are in the subconscious. But when you feel them, they are in the conscious. Yeah. So the emotions that are in the subconscious, we cannot feel them. And it's like the basement where you put your bottle of wines because they stay cool and it's dark. So at a certain point, let's suppose we had an experience that we were little, and this experience was overwhelming for us. You know, it was maybe traumatic. And so, but we couldn't cope with that because we were little. It was too much. So you say, oh no, I don't want to feel this now. Boom, you repress it in a way, and you squash it down, and then it goes in the subconscious. That's where traumas are stored. It's stored in the body too. So there's all kind of emotions that might come from the subconscious that might be related to traumas, not necessarily. And when you're able to feel them and perceive them, you're pulling them out of your subconscious, then they become conscious. Now, sometime, maybe tears come to you and you don't even know why. You just feel this butterflies in your heart and you're deeply touched by something and you start crying. Beautiful. Just feel that. What does it feel like? Let the tears flow. But the only thing you can do is to acknowledge them and let them come. Tears are beautiful. I love when they come. It's like a cleansing. Your whole system gets cleaned and washed by tears. They're beautiful. Sometimes there is something behind, there's a deeper something in that sadness. Then you go in. By allowing the tears, you go into that sadness deeper, and then something will reveal itself. If in the beginning you didn't know what the tears were about, if you keep going in, you will find out. It's like, suddenly a memory will come or anything that will show you, that's the root of that sadness. Okay. So it's through embracing the emotions and allow ourselves to feel them that we get to the root of it. So feelings are to be felt, yeah? That's why they're called feelings. And so are emotions. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are our emotions, but the emotions are there because they are made to be felt. We eventually, but this is a concept for you still, we are the consciousness in which all emotions are perceived. Okay, but this is a concept still. You have to make it your experience. Your experience is let me feel the sadness. That's real, right? So don't create a concept, oh, I'm not my emotion, I'm the space. Well, but it's a concept. If it's not an experience, it's useless. It becomes another thought, another hindrance. So stay with what is happening, with what is real. What do I feel in this moment? In this moment, I feel, oh, what is this in my heart? Oh, it's sadness. Oh God, I feel tears. The more I feel it, the more tears come. Okay, let them come. Feel it deeply. And then something will be revealed in that sadness. Once that something is revealed, it's like the light bulb goes on. It's like, oh, that's why I feel so sad. And then the emotions can be released and it's gone and it's beautiful. And the tears that made you all clean and shining again. But it's through embracing that sadness that I could eventually release it, not by, oh, I don't want to feel this and I squash it down in my subconscious. Well, it's going to affect your life without you knowing it because it's still there, but you're not aware of it because it's in the subconscious. Yeah. So embracing everything without any judgment, that's the trick. That's what choiceless awareness means. I hope I answered your question because I can't hear you. So, okay. So I don't see any other question coming up in the text. So, oh, see, Rafaela wrote something. Wait. I was experiencing feeling love and to be loved, to be connected with the universe and breathe with it. And parallel, I was feeling how much I miss to be here. Yes. Yes, it's exactly like that, Rafaela. When we allow ourselves to fall into ourselves, our true selves, that's what we do in meditation. It's like suddenly you fall in. It's like somehow you've been taught not to go in, you've been taught to go out. So we always go out, out, out. The world is all out. Okay. Well, we forget that there is a world inside too, right? So meditation is bringing our attention back to the inner as well, not only the outer. And when we fall into this space, sometimes it's like, oh God, this feels good. Finally, oh, here I am. I'm back. It's like coming home, that feeling. So it's really like that. Then you start feeling, oh, I missed myself. I miss my true self. Here I am. Oh, thank God, what a relief. Yeah? You'll have this time, these spaces opening over and over when you practice. Suddenly you're like, oh, space, still. With anything that you feel, everything is present. And it's like, oh God, finally, a moment of peace, freedom from yourself, freedom from your egoic self. That's what it is. That's where we started the session, right? That's exactly it. And that's why you say, I missed it. I believe you, we all miss it because we spend so much time in the ego and so little time in the self. So coming back to the self more and more, anytime you remember, come back, come back, come back. Keep remembering. That's why the mystics, they always said, well, you cannot find truth. You cannot look for truth because it's already there. You are truth, your true self. It's truth. It's already there, but it has to be unveiled. It's like, when they cover the statues, when an artist finishes a statue and then they cover it with a bed sheet, so you can't see it yet. And then they unveil it, they pull the sheet out and you can see, oh, what a beautiful piece of art. Well, it's like that. Meditation is like pulling the veil off slowly, slowly. So what is already there can be revealed, which is your true self, your truth. Truth with a capital T. It's already there. It's not something we have to go somewhere and look for it. We can only go in, and through that going in, we unveil what's already there. So to call it a search is not quite correct, because you're not going anywhere. You're just learning to, we also say you peel the onions. The onions have many layers. You just keep peeling one layer and there's another one. You keep peeling that one, there's another one. So meditation, mindfulness is like that, peeling one layer at a time, so that then the true self can be revealed in its full glory, which is an expression of the divine, which I'm not going to tell you what it's going to feel like, because it's going to be your own experience and it's different for everybody. That's the beauty of it. Everybody has his own path, and you have to find your own path, which is unique, as unique as you are. Okay. Oh, there's more text coming. Hold on. I was ready to close it. But I don't want to ignore you. I only feel Melchior. I only feel sense of deep space and connecting. I'm feeling in peace, but don't get things from my subconscious. It doesn't matter. Don't worry. Don't worry about the subconscious, because as I was saying, there's nothing we can do with the subconscious. The only thing we can do is with the conscious. So you feel deep space and connecting and warm feeling. Wonderful. That's all you should be concerned with. Just rest there, feel and embody that space. What it feels like to let myself be this space, this emptiness. What is this warm feeling? Can I enter it more? That you enter that. You put all your attention in what is arising within your consciousness. So if it doesn't arise, means you're not conscious of that yet. It doesn't matter. You cannot do anything with it. We work with the conscious. But by working with the conscious, what happens is that conscious becomes bigger and bigger. That line between conscious and subconscious gets getting lower. And so the conscious gets bigger and the subconscious gets smaller. And that happens by itself. It's not something we can directly do. Happens by us bringing full presence to what we are aware of, so what we're conscious of. That's the work that can be done. Good question, though. Right here. Okay, I like the last one. The last is, Maria said, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, with a heart. So I'll take that as a hint to close the session. And I'm sorry I cannot hear you, but I'll fix this for next time for sure. Okay, so have a wonderful day. I wish for you a day full of presence, because those are the most beautiful days. So have a beautiful day full of presence. Much love to you all. Namaste. And I will see you next Friday. Take care.